to the wire, Jalen Hurts put the team on his back, took it himself untouched in the end zone. The Eagles win this one 17-16 on the road. Welcome to the Postgame Show presented by Rico. I'm Gabriella DiGiovanni, joined by Fran Duffy and Ike Reese. We got to take a deep breath after that one. A win's a win.
That's right, and when we get a win, victory! Woo!
That woo is a sigh.
Yes.
It's a sigh. Let all the energy out. Let's talk through this game.
Yes.
There's a lot to get to break this one down. The Eagles entered the fourth quarter trailing 10, okay? We thought this was their chance. It was a big bounce-back game. They were handed their first loss on Monday night. They didn't come out aggressive. They didn't come out too strong. They got the win like we said. But we got to go back to the beginning of this game. The offense, they just really could not capitalize on opportunities.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear Coach Sirianni and Jalen talk about what they experienced out there on the field and what they were seeing. I was kind of wondering what the offense would look like without Dallas Goedert in it this week. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it all falls on the absence of Dallas Goedert being there, but you're talking about a big part of this offense being taken out as far as calling plays or what have you. Still no excuse for the slow start that they got off to. If you think about it, the last 6 quarters, when you take the second half of Monday night's game and then you go through this game, the offense just has not looked like it had looked prior to last week's game versus Washington. And I guarantee you they're going to be trying to get this thing fixed for next Sunday.
Yeah, a couple more turnovers, some more 3-and-outs here in this game, and obviously a lot to clean up on the offensive side of the football. Not their best performance. It was a good defensive team. We talked about that Colts defense. They are very technically sound. They are able to pressure quarterbacks despite not rushing for. So this is a group that can give offenses problems, but this was not the offense's best effort today. That said, coming in late in this game and coming up with a W. That's important to do on the road after you faced adversity last week. It was a short week, had to bounce back off that. Tough goings here early on. They come back and they get the dub.
You mentioned the turnovers. The first 8 games of the season, they had 3 turnovers. They've had 6 since Monday night. What's the coaching point when you're reviewing this film, right? Obviously, fluky things can happen and unfortunate things can happen. But 6 turnovers since Monday when your team has been so good at protecting the football through the beginning of the season, what do you do?
Yeah, I think you go on teaching the things that they've taught them all season long about ball security. I've always felt that turnovers are a thing of bad luck, right? Sometimes you're fortunate that something doesn't turn into a turnover, but eventually it seems to even itself out. And so there were plays through the first 8 weeks of the season where there could have been turnovers. We were just fortunate it didn't happen. The last 2 games, we're starting to see a little bit of that sort of level out as you go through the season. It doesn't excuse not taking care of the football when you have it. It certainly doesn't excuse that. But I don't think the coaches are doing anything differently than they've done all year long. And I think the players are conscious of it. It's just that in the league today, you almost have to be overly secure with the football because defensive guys are constantly punching at it, trying to strip it. Even when you're going for a sack, guys aren't necessarily going for the hit anymore. They're going to get the ball out.
Yeah, no question. And that's the thing that makes the fumble discussion a little bit difficult because it's not one thing that's the same across all of these fumbles. Jalen Hurts' fumble in the beginning of the third quarter is not like A.J. Brown's fumble, which is not like Quez Watkins' fumble at the end of last week, which was not like Dallas Goedert's fumble. All of them are for different reasons, but ultimately as a group, they just have to do a better job of continuing to take care of the football. It was such a strength through the first 8-9 games. Over the last 6 quarters, not as much.
Another strength they had through those first 8 games was they didn't rack up too many penalties. Today, it wasn't too good. That first half, there was a drive. They had 3 penalties back-to-back called on the drive. That just completely shot the drive. It was over. Another kind of coaching point to clean those things up because those are the things that Sirianni talks about, something in our control. Control the things that we can. Playing clean football is something that you can control. Again, there's going to be things that are called, this has been a huge discussion the past week, that don't always go your way. But there are also things that are completely in your control and are preventable.
Yeah, and the thing that I always look at when we're talking about penalties, we're talking about pre-snap penalties and post-play penalties. Those are things you certainly can't control. If you're looking at a holding call or something like that. Those are subjective, and depending on the officiating crew, whether or not they're looking to call some of these things. I thought in that first half on the one drive where they called like 3 straight penalties or 3 penalties out of 4 or 5 plays, some of those things can be ticky-tack. When you get a guy downfield, is he blocking too early versus a lineman being downfield too early on an RPO. So some of those things can definitely be cleaned up. We didn't have as many pre-snap penalties, and then we didn't have a lot of bonehead penalties where you're getting personal fouls or things of that nature. The holding calls, illegal procedures, illegal man down the field, those are things you can correct.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it always just comes down to details with a lot of those, right? It's one little thing, and some of them you can argue about. To me, like the illegal man downfield penalty on Jason Kelce in that drive, he was blocking his man down the field. To me, that's not illegal blocking downfield. That's Jason Kelce whooping the guy in front of him and driving him 7 yards off the ball. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, you just have to worry about the details, and that's something that, again, just like the turnovers, the Eagles were so strong with in the first 8 games, and the last 2, that has not been the case.
Let's talk about the good news from today, that defense. In my opinion, are the reason that this team won because they allowed the offense to hang around. Holding Jonathan Taylor to 84 yards, 64 in the first half. 49 of those 64 yards were won in that opening drive. After that, he didn't do too much. So the way that they responded the whole week, they've had to answer so many questions about this run defense, and to hold one of the best running backs in the league to 84 yards, pretty impressive job.
Yeah, and this is why I was excited to see this defense come out and play today, because you're right, they took a lot of heat throughout the week, and some of it justifiably so. I'm sure they hold themselves to a high standard when it comes to making tackles, being in the right gap, playing good, solid team defense where you're doing your job and you're expecting your teammate to do his job over there, as opposed to guys trying to do other guys' job. They got all those things corrected. This is a prideful defense, and so once you knuckle up and say, I'm gonna whoop the man across from me and I'm not gonna let you run the ball down my throat, that's exactly what they did today. And more importantly, they got negative plays on first down, second down. So unlike last week versus Washington, where everything was from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 6 to 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, there were a few 1st and 15s in there, 1st and 12s. You got a holding call that pushes them back 1st and 20. So now the defense can play with their ears bent back versus being on your heels all game. They tackled much better today, but more importantly, they won on the early downs.
Yeah, TJ Edwards had a couple of those TFLs on swing passes early on in series, and that was able to help things get going defensively. I think the big thing, to your point, Ella, they had 49 yards rushing on the first drive of the game. Jonathan Taylor didn't have a run of more than 4 yards until like early the 4th quarter after that opening drive. And so they really locked down on trying to stop number 28. That was a big reason why this defense had as much success as it did. You saw a number of 3-and-outs. They were able to force the issue with this offense. And even when they did give up points, a lot of them came on short fields. You had the fumble that started the 3rd quarter, and they were able to hold them to 3 points or 3 drives and then a field goal. I think ultimately this defense did a nice job of operating in those sudden change situations and getting off the field when they needed to.
In the kickoff show, you and I talked about how Jonathan Gannon this week said it takes all 11 guys to stop the run. Well, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was your leading tackler on this defense today. I learned this from you, Fran. You never want a guy in your secondary to be your team's leading tackler, but is that what it takes in a game like this when you need all 11 guys to stop the run?
A number of those times were blitzes, so that's a little bit more forgivable when you have guys that are approaching the line of scrimmage, and they're going to be a little bit more active that way. But yeah, at the end of the day, you'd love it to look like it did last week, where Javon Hargrave, I believe, led the team with tackles. He had 13, which is insane for a defensive lineman to have that many tackles. But ultimately, yeah, it does take all 11, and I thought everybody kind of took their turn showing up here in this one.
They really did. I mean, you look at it from not just stopping the run, but how about in the passing game, getting after Matt Ryan. See, once Matt Ryan was forced to have to throw the ball because they're behind the chains, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, now this defense can get after him because they know exactly where he's going to be. He's not going to run around and try to extend plays. If nothing else, he's going to either go down or throw you the football. I was surprised they weren't able to get an interception off of him, but he held onto the ball, which led to a lot of sacks. And Fran brought up something very critical when you look at the way this defense played today. Sudden change. When we did turn the ball over on the offense, the Eagles didn't allow them to get a touchdown out of it. Either they held them to a field goal, and a couple of those times they got them 3 and out and got the ball right back to the offense. If you don't have stops there from your defense and they give up touchdowns, this game is over with early for the Eagles. The fact that they were holding them to field goals or forced 3 and outs, it really allowed the offense to get back in the game, let Jalen do what he does, and they're able to come out of here with a win.
Opening drive, touchdown. They didn't reach the end zone after that.
Yep.
So I think ultimately, look, it was a bad start for the defense, the way that opening script worked out. But after that, really nice job from Jonathan Gannon's unit.
Is this defense missing Avonte Maddox a little more than we thought?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. When you think about Avonte Maddox, I look at him like he's a starting corner. He plays just as many snaps as Slay and Bradbury does out there. With so many teams using 11 personnel or four wide receiver sets, you're missing that guy out there. Now, we look at him like he's the best nickel corner in all of football. You know, no slight to Josiah Scott, but he's not Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox is definitely being missed out there.
Well, Avonte Maddox just took to Twitter. Let's see what he had to say. We're missing him, but he is tuned in. He said, let's go, with a muscle emoji. He is certainly missed, but we know when he is back and he's healthy and he's ready to go. Hopefully he'll just be a welcomed addition that's really going to kind of be that staple, that foundation to that secondary that we're seeing kind of them miss.
Well, and the other thing you're missing with him out there is familiarity.
Right.
They know Avonte. They know how he was. You know, when you're a secondary and you've been playing together as a unit, you understand tendencies. You understand what the guy in front of you likes to do, so you know how to play off of him. Yep. And with Josiah out there, it takes a little bit of time to get used to playing with 33 out there. He's busting his butt, but it's nothing like having guys out there that you've played more snaps with, because the more experience you have out there, the more familiarity you have on how to play off the guy.
There's a saying in sports that some guys are just glue guys and that they hold everything together. Yeah. I think Avonte Maddox for this defense, for that back seven, because it's not just with the corners. He is a guy that is connective for the safeties, for the linebackers, for the guys playing off the edge. So he is such an important part of this defense in a lot of the ways that his BFF, Dallas Goedert, is. Offensively, very similar in terms of their impact on both sides of the ball.
Certainly missing the roomies today.
I just thought about that. Y'all didn't realize.
You think they're watching the game together?
I just thought about that.
Together?
Both guys,
I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that on the offensive side of the football. We didn't know what that was going to look like today without Dallas Goedert. We anticipated, just based on what was said throughout the week, that it was going to be a by-committee approach and kind of redistributing the targets. We didn't exactly see what I think I expected in terms of more A.J. Brown and more Devontae Smith. They were trying to see what was going to work, how many tight ends to put in or take out. What did you think just in how they've been trying to adjust without Dallas Goedert?
Well, you know what? I'll give Gus Bradley a little bit of credit here, too. They did some things out there to get Jalen out of his comfort zone, right? They mixed up some coverages, and when you don't have to devote extra attention to Dallas Goedert out there, now you're putting extra guys on number 11, or you're maybe rolling covers towards Devontae Smith at times. Either way, there's a void in the middle of the field that number 88 usually occupies, and Jalen he's built up that rapport with Dallas that he likes having that security blanket, that big body where the catch radius is so wide that he feels comfortable throwing him the football. And then I even talked about in a running game, he's such a good blocker on the perimeter. I thought that affected us too as well. So, you know, it's the first game that he's not out there. I think it's not like you want to get used to not playing with him, but we're not going to have him for at least another 3 to 4 weeks. And I think that the offense will start to find an identity without 88 out there. But he definitely was missed today.
Yeah, that'll be one of the things I'll be looking for when I do go through the film tomorrow, is just what the offense looked like on those plays where maybe Jack Stoll's used at the point of attack or Grant Calcaterra used at the point of attack. He had that ticky-tack holding penalty at one point. That was a little bit questionable in my mind, but I think overall that'll be one of the first things I'll be looking at when I watch the offensive tape tomorrow.
Well, the roomies might be sitting on the couch tweeting together because Dallas Goedert also took to Twitter. He said MVP. I'm assuming that's referring to Jalen Hurts because he really did put the team on his back to win this one.
He did, and that's the great thing about Jalen as a quarterback. If something's not working through the air, he has the ability to extend plays. And I thought in the fourth quarter, he had to have said to himself, it's go time. It's time to go. And you started to see him be more aggressive when he didn't like what he saw from a passing standpoint. He was able to use his legs. So, I mean, it's great to have a guy that had that ability. You just look at the other side of the field. I was speaking about Matt Ryan earlier. He's not running the football.
No.
I know he had a 30-some-yard run last week, but that's because everybody on defense fell down. He's usually not running the football. It's great to have a weapon like Jalen.
Yeah, you saw in that touchdown drive that ended with the Quez Watkins touchdown. He had the scramble for plus 23, and then obviously running it in for the game winner, 7 yards in the goal line on fourth down. I think ultimately Jalen still willing to use his legs. That can be that X factor here in this Eagles run game, whether that's by design. We saw plenty of that here in this game, or those second reaction plays where he drops back and he sees a crease and he's going to take off. I thought it was a well-designed play for him to get into the end zone to end this game. You saw Jason Kelce kind of pulling out to the right side, and he played off of that and ran left. The Red Sea opened for Jalen in the middle of the field, and he was able to run into the end zone to put this game away. But a really, really important part of Jalen's value to this offense certainly are his legs.
Well, as we wait to hear from Nick Sirianni and the players, we have a special video, a behind-the-scenes look as the players enter the locker room. Let's see what we got. They're all, it's big smiles. They got the win.
It's a big win.
There's Howie Roseman.
And it's a great example of why you play for 60 minutes. We haven't talked about the new additions yet. I can't wait to talk about those guys. But that's why you play for 60 minutes.
Yep.
The game can change. It's never over. And there was a point in that fourth quarter, and maybe it was after the I don't know. It was one of the turnovers that I think it was the last fumble that we got. Was that the beginning of the fourth quarter when Jalen fumbled that ball off the sack? I'm saying to myself,
all right, I got to cut you off. We have BG at the podium.
There we go.
Brandon, how did the two new guys along the line fit in? It seemed like pretty seamless.
Man, them boys looked like they was ready to go from like they've been here a while. Man, I'm thankful for them because, man, they kept us up all through the game. They had a great attitude through the game. It was cool to, play with Sue and LJ. And, man, we just been out there. I mean, we persevered through this one. And that's all we kept talking about. Somebody just got to make a play. And it was just us up front. And, and I'm just happy that we came out with the W.
What happened on their first drive when they went down the field so easily? What did you guys correct?
The first 15 plays, you see how they trying to attack you. They was doing a good job, similar to what we was getting hit on. But I felt like we just bowled up. We knew how they wanted to hit us. And I felt like, it took a collective, all 11, especially on that one play when we had to strip. That was big. That was a big drive that we stopped, even though we didn't get points on the offensive side. But I just felt like we just kept coming, stayed with it. The drive that got on the goal line, if they score, man, that was big by Hassan to get that sack at the end to kill that drive. And the one missed field goal, boy, that was big too. There was a lot of stuff in that game, man, where we just persevered. We said if we got a chance, we was going to go out and finish the game, and that's what we did.
Did Nick say anything, especially this week, about coming back here, what it meant to you guys?
We knew what it meant to him. He talked about it a little bit. He didn't really harp on, he going back. He didn't make it a big thing. But I knew if it's me, and I know he emotional to you, you see how he is on the sideline, this meant a lot to him, and he wanted to get this W. So I'm happy we was able to persevere and get it for him.
Are you guys back on track?
You know what? Yes, I feel like we are. We got some cleaning up to do, but get back in the win column. That's all you want, because this could have easily been an L. We was 4th and 2. It was a lot of stuff going on, but Coach made that call for Jalen to put it on his back, and I felt like he came through for us in the end.
Your sack there late in the game. Just talk, how'd that come about?
You know what? It was cool because Sweaty had just got out. He was rushing them, and I was like, man, he was killing them outside. So I just said, I'm going bull rush. And I seen that, Matt Ryan kept stepping up in the pocket, and I just wanted to make sure he didn't step up. So I just went all out and bull rush. Knew we needed a play, and I didn't even see him until I saw him, and then I didn't know he still had the ball. I just knew that the dude was going backwards. I just happened to throw my arms, and man, I was happy to get the sack to help kill the drive.
You were allowed to hit the quarterback this time.
I know. What's so cool about it is, last game, I cost the team on that last penalty, even though, there was a lot of stuff happening in the game, just like this one. A lot of stuff happened. I was just happy to, make up for that.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised at all how quickly Linval and Dominican were able to get involved and how effective they played?
You know what? Not really, because 13 years, that's just like me. If I was sitting down, I know I'll be staying ready and excited when you come back. It's that pure excitement of just being back. I'm sure they're going to be sore tomorrow, 2 days from now. But, I was happy that they picked it up really good. Even with the plays, I was helping Sue all this week, and when we got to the game, he didn't really need me for a lot of stuff because he already had it down in terminology and stuff like that. And, man, these guys felt like, I mean, it was great pickups because they was great fits as far as personalities and just coming in, just want to maximize their role. Because coming in and being a starter where you was at before and just had to come in and be a role player, them guys still went out there and was effective. And so I'm happy to see. Did they get a half, both of them together? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I feel like it was meant. And LJ, he kept saying, like, man, I was just on my couch. And, man, I dreamed about this. And, man, look at this now. Like, I just feel like, you know, this was meant. And so it was cool, man, to see them guys come in and play right away and make some plays.
What was Nick's message after the game?
I didn't really get to hear it too much because he let Jalen pull it up. He was just excited because the turn of events that just happened really quickly. And, you know, I just felt like I came straight here from there. So he really just was saying that we still ain't put our complete game in yet, but he was happy the way we fought.
Take a couple more for BG if you have.
You mentioned Jalen. It just him putting the game on the back offensively, watching that. I think he ran for 50-something yards in that fourth quarter. What does he mean to you guys, even as a defense?
Man, he's a competitor. We just want to make sure we put him in the best position we can as a defense. We know what we did coming out the gate. We gave up 50 yards right off the rip, but I felt like we buckled up, we adjusted, we seen how they was trying to hit us, and you know, great adjustments by JG. You know, he went out there, told us what it was for halftime, and we went out and executed. And you know, we stopped making it hard. It was just, you know, it's simple. Just get off the rock. We got knocked back. We gotta put our hands on people, and we gotta rally to the ball because 28 is a great running back, and he can get out any given time. And you know, I just felt like, you know, that was gonna be our number one thing, and I'm happy we held up in the second half.
There was a snap of you, Sue, Linval, and Robert Quinn. That's a lot of experience.
It is, man, and we was having fun with it. You know, it's cool when you really just take a step back and just be like, man, wow, like I'm playing with Sue, I'm playing with LJ. You know, I done seen him win the championship with the Giants. We beat them, you know, and when he was with the Vikings, and you know, Sue, of course, we played the Lions a couple of times, and now, you know, you just never know how it's gonna come full circle. So I'm, you know, thankful, enjoying the moment, and yeah, man, let's keep getting these dubs. Let's keep working.
Thanks, BG.
See y'all later.
All right, that was Brandon Graham. Before we keep going here, I just want to remind everybody to hit the Facebook comments for our Ask Ike segment. You can ask Ike any questions you have in the comments, and he'll get them answered right here on the show. You talked about playing with Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. It was kind of crazy to hear BG, even as a veteran, kind of take a second and reflect, like, wow, I'm playing alongside a guy like Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, who have played in the NFL for so long. They have won championships. They've had successful careers. But to see all of these veterans come together on the field for the first time, it was kind of crazy. Yeah,
take a look in the mirror, BG. You're just like they are. He's a champion just as well. He's played in this league a long time, has a lot of respect around the league. But what you see is that's mutual admiration there, right? And the fact that you're getting help coming in from these two guys. I was actually a little surprised at how much they played today.
Yeah.
You know, having not played all year, not being in a training camp. So, you know, kudos to them for being able to go out there and actually contribute. And how about both of them getting a half sack together? Awesome. That was awesome to see them get a sack.
Yeah, no question. Maybe we'll break that down a little bit later in the show. But to me, like, look, I said this in kickoff show. I would love it if when Jordan Davis returns to have just a group photo of Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Linval Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh, and Jordan Davis. I can't imagine there's a defensive tackle room in the history of the NFL that has that amount of size and pedigree in one room. All four of those vets at one point have been considered top 5 defensive tackles in the NFL. It's just an outstanding resource for the Eagles to have for Jordan Davis and for Milton Williams, he's actually playing some good football these last couple of weeks. He's really coming on these last few. But I think looking at that group, it's certainly going to be a strength for this team moving forward.
The beefy defensive line.
A lot of beef up front. Man, if they go out to dinner, I wonder who's buying. Well, they got enough money up there, too. So
They'll figure it out.
When you talk about, though, what's coming down the line,
Yeah.
you know, they have Aaron Rodgers next week. Of course, that offense has struggled a bit this season, but Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. And so putting the pressure on a quarterback like him, the way that they pressured Matt Ryan today, is going to be important here again.
Yeah, and he's a guy that gets rid of the ball quickly also. So it'll be interesting to see what that Packers team looks like in another week or so. I thought they had started getting some things going offensively. Didn't put up a lot of points against Tennessee, but the young wide receiver that they drafted, Watson, is starting to show some promise there. So maybe Aaron will be a little bit happier with his weapons. And so, you know, but I like the way our defense is playing. The fact that we have big bodies up front now, as long as we do a good job stopping the run, winning on the early downs, first and second down, I'll put our secondary and our pass rush up against any offensive line.
Well, and that's the thing, was coming out of Monday night, we talked about this on Eagles Game Plan this week, Ike, was that this is going to be a big test for this defense moving forward in the next month of the season, because all of these teams are run-oriented football teams. Jonathan Taylor, test number 1 today with the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, check that box. But after that, you've got Aaron Jones and Green Bay. They're at their best when Aaron Jones is running the football. You have Tennessee after that. We know what you see with King Henry and the Tennessee Titans. The Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants. You know that they're going to be able to run the football. The Dallas Cowboys with Zeke and with Tony Pollard now coming on. These are teams that want to run the football. The Eagles have to continue the effort they put forth today to stop this run game.
It's honestly the toughest run schedule coming up. It's going to be the toughest competition they still have ahead of them. And so the way that they were able to kind of stockpile this week is super important considering the injuries across the defensive line, but also to sustain the success down the stretch.
Yeah, and to me, it's going to be critical for the offense that they had to play better on that side of the football, so you're playing complementary football. Sure. You're not going to have as many possessions when the other team is really trying to play keep away from you, so you can't turn the ball over. You can't get impatient because that other team is saying to themselves, we just want to run the football. We want to try to shorten this game and limit your possessions, so it makes it even more critical for the offense. When they get the ball, they have to get points.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that that's where those turnovers really come into play. If you're only going to have a handful of drives in any given half, you don't want to squander those by turning the ball over, or the 3 and outs are not as bad, but you want to be able to sustain possession of the football, move the football and put points on the football, obviously, or on the board, obviously. That's not like rocket science, but at the end of the day, those turnovers and those 3 and outs, if the opposing team is going to run the ball and hold on and try and own time of possession, that's where they really come back to hurt you.
I think what's interesting is all week we talked about, is this the blueprint to beat the Eagles? That was kind of the buzz around the city. We even asked Dave about it in the kickoff show. In this copycat league, is this what you're going to have to do to beat the Eagles? Well, the Eagles found a way to stop the run, and so Matt Ryan had to rely on his arm and make passes down the field. So this is kind of putting other teams on watch that, yes, if you have a successful run game, you're going to put the Eagles defense on their heels, but they're going to force you to throw the football as well.
Well, this is something Fran and I talk about all the time. You know, you run the ball and you rule the time of possession. Obviously, as a defense, you don't want that to happen against you. But at the same time, you're not running away with the football game.
Yep.
All you're really doing is keeping the game close.
Sure.
And as great as Indy played today, for 3 quarters, it was still a 13-3 game going into the 4th quarter, which kept the Eagles in the game. I say that to say, for those that want to run the ball as much as you do, it's still a passing league, and you still want to score points in bunches as quickly as you can. It can be a formula for some teams who can't throw the football, but it's always going to keep the Eagles in the game. Even last Monday against Washington, the Eagles, if Quez Watkins doesn't fumble that ball, the Eagles may go in and win that game, even though Washington dominated the time of possession.
Yeah, and not to relitigate Monday, right? But I think just having that conversation and comparing it to this performance, what was the big difference? Here in this one, that opening drive, we talked about, hey, Jonathan Taylor runs for 49 yards. Well, the Colts, they were 3 for 3 on 3rd down on that drive. After that, they didn't convert a 4th down or a 3rd down until the 4th quarter. Midway through the 4th quarter, that touchdown drive, that 17-yard dig to Alec Pierce. After that, or between that, the Colts were 0 for on 3rd down. The defense absolutely was outstanding on getting off the field. And when you do that, you're limiting the amount of plays. And you say, all right, if you're going to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down and get us to 3rd and 5, we're going to get off the field and we're going to give the ball back to our offense.
Well, with that, I know Head Coach Nick Sirianni is going to have a lot of questions to answer, and we'll hear from him now at the podium.
I don't know you. What's your name? Nice to see you.
But you did really great today. I want you to come up.
Oh man, that was a great win. It wasn't what you you draw up or anything like that, but this league it rarely is, and it's tough sledding, and it was just a great win to be able to get that.
Fran was just saying that you were pretty emotional afterwards. He thought it was tied to your return here to a certain extent. Kind of what are you feeling now that it's over?
Yeah, I'm emotional because I love Frank Reich. I really do, and he's one of the best damn football coaches I've ever been around. So, yeah. I was hoping that him and I would be able to coach against each other in this game, but he's one of my biggest mentors. I got my dad, I got Larry Karras, and I got Frank Reich, and Frank's such a good football coach. And you don't want to know what I think of if he should be here or not, but because you guys can probably imagine what I really think. I love him, and so I got a little bit emotional about that, and it was good to see the guys that I really cared about and some of the things that, Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly and Paris Campbell, I got to talk to them after the game, and Kenny Moore. So that means a lot when they say some things that are, obviously I keep those things to myself, but spent a lot of time here. My kids, one of my children was born here, and it was sweet to come here, especially with what happened in this organization the last couple weeks, and get the win. We live in Indianapolis with a win.
And despite the win, there were some struggles early on.
Whew. You ain't kidding, Jeff.
Some of the decisions, I'm just wondering. So you had 3 timeouts. You went to the half with.
I didn't feel great about how we were moving it, and we had to slightly beginning of a 2-minute right there. I didn't want to help them out because they had. I just didn't want to help them out anymore with the timeouts, and I hey, if we lost that game and I didn't do it, I probably would have said, hey, I shouldn't have done that. Hey, we won, and I felt good about the decision right then. Not because, I have faith in our offense to be able to do that. I just didn't want to help them out to be able to go down and score a touchdown and try to make them kick a field goal there because they lacked timeouts. But our defense was doing a good job at that time. You go back and forth with that. That's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to go back and forth with that decision. Like, was it the right, was it the wrong one? But shoot. I gotta stick with my I don't want to say gut. I gotta stick with my conviction when I make a decision and live with it. Not always are they going to be right.
In the 4th and 10 from the 39, you passed up to 37.
Yeah, with where we were right now, it's about did I feel great about kicking that right there? I didn't, and I wanted to see if we could get the first down right there, and we didn't. And man, I can't say enough good things about Gus Bradley and his defense and the way that guy always gets his players to play for him. Always. Gus always gets his players. I was with him in San Diego, as you guys know, and he always gets his players to play for him. And they always have, they always do a good job on defense. So they stopped us there. And again, I have to stick with the decision I made. Hindsight, do I kick it? Yeah, maybe it didn't work for this one.
Is it fair to say you simplified things offensively in the second half?
Yeah, we got to what we felt was working at the time. It still wasn't easy, as you guys saw, right? I mean, they came out and they had a strip sack fumble and got the ball back. That number 91, there's been a lot of battles with him. He's a good football player, in this stadium when he was with Jacksonville. Then he's found his way to Minnesota, and he was here again. Like we've had a lot of nights worrying about him, but I love our tackles, and it wasn't on our tackle. It ended up being on the back, and but he's a good football player. He made a good play right there. But, yeah, good job by Shane calling it in the second half, stopped making some adjustments, all the guys making adjustments, and defense allowed us time to be able to do that.
The final drive, take us through that and the play calling process, and also the timeout after the 2-minute warning call.
Yeah, there's a little bit of strategy to that timeout after the 2-minute call that I'd rather not get into for reasons just so our opponents don't know, obviously. But that was a big time drive. Miles Sanders looked at me and said, "Hey, I'm on the teach tape," because when we talk about if you're behind the defense, right? If you're behind the defense and you're running and the ball's a little underthrown because Jalen had to really heave it, that plant your right foot in the ground and come back to and kind of make sure that you're either coming back to the football, jumping through the football, and he did exactly that. And like you don't think that Miles is gonna be on the go route off of a scramble on that, like because these conversations are happening, and that's why, I love the process because the running backs and the receivers and the tight ends and the quarterbacks are all sitting in together with the pass installs and the pass meetings, and there's always in my head like, hey, should we let the backs go here? This doesn't. But shoot, it worked out for us today that he soaked up a coaching point and played it to perfection, right? If we can give all the coaching points we want, but like these players are the ones that got to go out there and execute it. And so he said to me a couple times after the game, he's like, "I make the teach tape." I said, "You're damn right, you made the teach tape." Forevermore we'll be able to show Miles Sanders how to play a deep ball if it's underthrown, because you got to try to put your guys in every position like that. But Miles, man, he went up and that was a huge play. I'm talking a lot, I know. Go ahead.
I hate to interrupt, but you really leaned on Hurts there on that last try, that 4th and 2 quarterback draw, and then the thing just opened up wide on the 3rd and 7 there, 3rd and goal. Was there something you saw on calling that play?
Yeah, obviously you go through the process all week and figure out what they're doing, and not only in the red zone, in the tight red zone, in the low red zone, in the high red zone, and 2-minute, what their got-to-have-it calls are, where they're going to play. You try to put yourself in every single position you possibly can, and so and then you put the ball in your players' hands that you trust to make the plays at that time. I think you keep seeing it that like when we need a drive, when we need some points, when we need, you can always lean on our offensive line, right? You can always lean on them. And then Jalen's special with the ball in his hands, and he made, man, that thing opened up. I was looking at the play. And then I kind of looked over at Kevin, and Kevin Petullo was going crazy, and because I kind of put my head down just for a second with what happened on that, and then he executed and we scored, and it was pretty sweet. But we knew we had to get a stop, and man, those defensive ends earned the right to pass rush in that scenario, and we got a great pass rush and we got a great defense. I'm just, as you guys say, I'm excited about this one.
What do you think of the run defense, especially coming off of all the criticism they had throughout this week?
Yeah, it's not as we all know. Sometimes I feel like we don't all know this, that it's not indicative of just one game of who you are, right? There's the defensive coaches did an unbelievable job. The defensive players did an unbelievable job, and I've been in this stadium when those offensive linemen over there, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, have taken over a game, and because that's a good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor's a good back, and there was not much there, and there was not much there at all. So it was awesome, right? It was awesome. I'll be interested to see what the narrative is. I don't know if it will be like, well, they're still 31st in yards per attempt. I'm not sure we are anymore. And obviously Linville did a great job, and it was awesome to see him come in and get reps. When he comes off the field excited, I get excited, and so I love that juice. And Sue did a good job. Tracy Rocker, our defensive line coach, to get those guys ready to play in that short amount of time is a tribute to Coach Rocker and a tribute to Sue and a tribute to Linville that they were able to do it. And that's, and obviously so appreciative to Howie and his staff for getting those guys in here. And they went out there and they just played. I can't wait to see what their grades were. I'm imagining they were pretty good. But yeah, when they come off the field, that's exciting.
Last one, guys. Like this important for a team to build toughness.
Yeah, I think so. Any win, you take it any way you can get it in this league, especially on the road. We clawed, we scratched, we fought, and we kept going, and we were winning it, and we won at the end. And so I think anytime your back's against the wall, right, and you respond, at all levels, offense, defense, special teams, yeah, it feels pretty sweet, and it builds, right? And you can build from anything, right? I think there was a great Kobe Bryant. He would always talk about, how his process after a game and how you could build on everything, and that's just, he was awesome, and you can build on everything. You would rather build off of a win, but when your back's against the wall like our guys were today, and and you fight and claw and scratch, anything you got to do to win that game, that's pretty sweet, and that brings those guys closer and closer. Hey, I'd love to win by more than that, obviously, but we had our back against the wall, and we came out swinging, and we got the win.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Good question, Howard. Appreciate you setting me up.
Nick Sirianni, very emotional, returning to Indianapolis and getting the win on the road. Hassan Reddick spoke to reporters in the locker room post-game about what this means for Coach.
Just very emotional. It was a dog fight. Anytime you could come back and win a game like this, no matter what happened throughout the whole game, just the persistence, the consistency to fight. He was emotional. He coached here recently with the Colts, and I'm just happy we were able to come together, fight, get ourselves back in the game and win it from him. I know how much, a guy who played on different teams, I know how much it means to beat and get a W over a team that you either played for or coached for. And for him, and other guys, JG's on that staff. We had other guys on that coaching staff as well. For them to get the W today, man, I'm just glad we were able to do that for them.
A sack and a TFL for Hassan Reddick here today. He's become such a critical piece to this defense.
Oh, man, he's the weapon, and I love it. They use him all over the place, even dropping back in coverage, although I don't need to see him drop back in coverage, but he has the ability to do it. But getting after the quarterback is what he does. I mean, and that sack that he got on Matt Ryan down there in the red zone, keep them out of the end zone, that was a big-time sack. Really saved the game, because if Indy scores a touchdown there, the game's probably over with, because now you're down 2 scores. So Hassan Reddick coming up, not only getting sacks, but coming up with timely sacks, and that was a big one.
That was no question a huge one, and I've always said that he has been underrated against the run as well, so I'm excited to see some of the plays that he made as an edge setter here in this game, Ella.
Well, we have an Ask Ike question.
Okay.
Let's see what we got, what the fans have to say. Can you give us tips on deep frying a turkey? Keep up the great work and love the suit. Always got to give a shout out. Ike doesn't mess around with his game day fits. I will say that. But
I got to bring something to the show. Fran has all the information. You're the beauty here.
Listen, I just love the person who asked that question. You guys didn't see the name on that one.
You see it was Fran? Yeah, that was Fran.
Yes. Listen, I'm watching the press conference. I'm taking notes. I'm on my phone. Let me go check it at Facebook real quick and get an Ask Ike question in.
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yes. That's the first thing I noticed when it said tips on deep frying the turkey. I'm like, who is that?
That said,
what are your tips? All right, let's hear it.
What tips can I give you? First of all, make sure the turkey is completely thawed out and give it a few days to dry out before you stick it in
house fires.
Yes, exactly. Make sure you're frying outside, not in the garage, in an area where, the grease can sort of ball over a little bit if that happens. And I tell you, what is it? 285 degrees, I believe. Okay. I think you let it get pretty hot, and then you stick it in there, and it's 3 minutes per pound.
Okay.
3 minutes per pound. Now, I would have to do all the showing you how to dress it up and do all those things. We don't really have time for that on the show, yes. Because there's a lot more that goes into it. I like to put a little rub on it, Yeah. You got to get the injector to make sure you get the, so that it's juicy, right? So you want to get a butter.
No one wants a dried out turkey.
Exactly. So you got to get that injector, make sure you put that in there, let it marinate for a few hours, and then, Man, you got me excited.
There we go.
So it sounds like we'll be at your house on Thursday. You let us know what time.
And I tell you what, once you have deep fried turkey, you're never going back to
deep fried turkey is number one.
Yeah, I think I started eating it maybe a decade. Okay. I've been eating it for a decade. I won't go back to baked turkey. Now, I'll eat it as somebody else's baked turkey, but we're not baking turkeys at my house anymore.
Hashtag Ask Ike, what time should we be over?
Yeah.
That's the next question.
We'll all be there.
It all depends. First serving is at normally after halftime of that Detroit game.
Okay.
And then you got to let it sit for a little while, and then you get ready at halftime of the Cowboys game for the second helping along with dessert. And then we even throw on a nightcap there. You know what I'm saying?
Really never thought our show would get to this point, but here we are. Okay,
that's where we are.
Well, while we're here, then what's your favorite side?
Macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Now listen, that's what you should have been asking tips about. That's how you make my mom's macaroni and cheese, the baked macaroni and cheese, where I use 6 cheeses.
I was going to ask how many cheeses.
6 different cheeses. Yes, 6 different cheeses.
Can you say, do you know all 6?
Oh yeah. You go sharp. You got the cheddar. You can do Velveeta. I like to use it's like a like nacho dipping sauce. Okay. So I'll take a jar of that, put that in there as well. You got the Kobe cheese, Kobe Jack, where you got the mixture there. I even throw a little mozzarella in there to spruce it up a little bit.
Just more cheese. The
more cheese, the better.
There's no
the more cheese, the better. And I would give you, I'll tell you guys off camera, mom's little secret.
Oh,
I can't give it to everybody. I can't give the secret to everybody, yes. I'll tell you guys off camera.
All right.
Well, I'm so glad you're tuning into the Postgame Show. We're where we are delivering the top-notch analysis. But to get back on track, new guy, Ndamukong Suh. He just took to Twitter. Let's see what he had to say.
Just finding another way that you have to win. Being able to watch when they've blown teams out, being able to come back and then fight adversity is a good thing as well. And so that's most important, just finding different ways to win football games because you never know how it's going to end as you continue to move throughout the season.
And I know you've been asked, but how do you think you played out there?
I got to watch the film.
How did you feel out there?
I felt good, but I still got to watch the film and watch what my plays were, how I progressed in them, and go from there.
We know what he can do. How excited are you to see him build over the next few weeks?
Very excited. I was excited when I saw the name come on social media that the Eagles had been in talks with him, and then it was a done deal that they were going to bring him here. I've always loved Suh as a football player from the time that he came into the league, and I know the reputation that comes with him, that he played with. But as a defensive player, I love that. I love that mentality. I love that personality. And I think as he got older, he figured out a way to be able to play with that rage and that violence, but under control. And so that's when he really took his game to another level. And he demands and commands respect the moment he walks in your meeting room. He's a big man, and I like the fact that he smiles a little bit. I didn't know how much he would be smiling. So I was actually surprised, Fran, that he played today. I had been saying throughout the week, I think I'd go easy with Suh. No, so credit to him. He was in shape. He was ready to go.
All right, Ike, we have QB1 at the podium.
It means a lot. It means a lot, to represent so many communities and the black community, the black quarterback, everything. I know this platform comes with a lot, and I try and represent every supporter, everyone that has been a supporter throughout the years, any Eagles fan, everybody in the Philadelphia community and the Texas community, to try and represent them in the right way.
When you guys were down 10, Nick was going to each of you guys. What was he telling you guys when you guys were behind?
He was just telling me to be who I am. I said, I got you. Really simple.
DJ said you had a sense of calmness, even joking around. Did you kind of get a sense, your demeanor to the guys, that you guys were going to be in a position to come back and win this thing?
I feel like there's never a doubt. I feel like there was never a doubt. Even when you lose, there's never a doubt, and I feel like there are a lot of things that we can learn from. As always, a ton of things that we can learn from, and I think it's a special feeling because, I look back at, after every game and I assess it honestly about what could we have done better to put ourselves in a better position. Not to win, of course to win, but to play to the standard that we strive to. We put a lot of work in every day. We put so much work in every day to try and play this game a certain type of way. And perfection is something that will never be caught. But why not chase it? Why not chase the standard? Why not chase that golden standard of doing stuff the right way, executing with the right details, having the right fundamentals? That's something that we chase every day. So, we never wavered, I think, throughout the game. Again, there were things that did not go our way in terms of our execution, and we put ourselves in a bad position. But, we were never out of the fight, and we never there was never any doubt because of the belief we have in one another, the way we work. We were able to put it together at the end. The defense, they played a hell of a game all game. They responded to a really good first drive by them, and after that, it wasn't much. And that's great team defense. It's great team defense.
On the final drive, what clicked?
The execution. I think that's what clicked. We had positive plays. There weren't any turnovers. I think that's the formula for us as an offense, as we've shown throughout this point of the season.
Why were the draw plays working so well?
It's something that we hadn't really showed on film, so it's a good time to pull it out.
Did you feel like you kind of had to take over a little bit more with your legs, especially in the fourth quarter?
No, I didn't. I was just playing the game. I don't really get into how I'm going to have to win it or whatever. I just try and go out there and read and react, really try and make it as simple as I possibly can. And, our offensive line, they did a great job giving us time. Receivers made plays when we needed them, and we were able to find a way to win in the end of the game. And that's no one individual doing that. However it may look, that's all of us doing it together. That's the belief we have in one another the trust we have in one another, you know, because it's no man is an island. You got to draw your strength from others, you know, and everybody is dependent on the next man.
On the touchdown pass to Quez, he said that he was kind of lobbying on the sideline, saying that he was open on that route. I guess, what did you see, and did he, I guess?
It's a thing of communication. It's a thing of communication. I encourage, and it's one thing that I work on actively, but just the communication in anything, that is what makes something go efficiently. And we were communicating, receivers to quarterback, coach to quarterback. All of us were trying to get on the same page, and I encouraged them even last night, like, hey, I'll let me know what y'all see. I'll let the coaches know. Let's talk about it. Let's get on the same page so we can go out there and execute. And we did that, you know, we did that. Was it the level that where the precedent has been set for us? No. Was it our standard throughout the game? No. But it was enough, you know, and it was enough.
What made you give Nick the game ball?
No, I know it's special for him. It's special for him being a coach here. He spent a lot of time here in Indianapolis. He has a lot of memories here. A great homecoming for him, and I'm glad that we were able to get the win for him. I know as he walked off the field, I hear he got a little bit emotional, and I guess I didn't help when I tossed him the ball. But you know, coach doesn't get enough credit for what he does and what he's been for us. He does a great job. I'm happy he got to get this win, and you know, we're always in each other's ear in terms of the mentality that we want this team to have and the approach we want to have. So, you know, he'll enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it, and we're going to move on and get ready for, you know, Sunday night.
Can you walk us through the play down the field to Miles that was off schedule? You were in the pocket for a long time, and then the play he made to come back to the ball.
Yeah, I think that is fundamental. That is a fundamental kind of one-on-one thing. You know, you have the ball in the air. You have to make a play on the ball or try to make a play on the ball. And, you know, their guy ended up kind of, you know, panicking and knocking Miles down because he was so wide open. So, yeah.
And on the final touchdown, Jason Kelsey mentioned you guys ran that a couple times. But that particular one, it seemed to open up really nicely for you. Was there something about that particular draw play that was executed a little bit better?
What do you mean?
Well, Jason said you ran into some success, but from us in the press box, it really looked like the Red Sea parting. So I was just curious how it looked to you in the execution.
Yeah, that was one that was in the bag, and then we pulled it out. And I think we put it out at the right time, at the right game. You know, and you know, we worked really hard to try and get on the same page, go out there and execute. One, knowing what we're going to execute, knowing how we're going to execute it, and knowing why we want to execute the play. And, you know, a hell of a call by Coach, hell of an execution by the O-lineman, and we found a way, you know, found a way.
I've heard you speak often about learning from each situation. You guys really haven't been in that situation too often where you got to have it drive. What did you learn about the team in the fourth quarter today?
Well, we were in that situation last week, and if we execute to our standard, if we execute and have positive plays and don't turn the ball over, you know, good things happen. And I know there was an example last week a couple times where, you know, good things didn't happen because we didn't control the things that we could control. And that's on all of the turnovers we've had. And, you know, so this week, you know, we kind of try and get a good thing going and just execute, control what we can, stay diligent in our plays and kind of, you know, just trust it and play together. And I think that's what we did today. When it mattered most, protected the ball. When it mattered most on that last drive, and we won the game.
Take two more.
Without Dallas Goedert, a lot of people had to contribute. How that's a very important player for this offense.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wonder how Dallas is thinking right now. You know, I know he didn't travel with us, but he's probably screaming at the TV, going crazy. Yeah, you know, I think we have a lot of trust in everybody on the team, and you know, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the situation, whoever's on the field, there's never a doubt. There's never a doubt. That's because we work so hard. We put a lot of work in, you know, and I'm thankful that today we were able to kind of get paid for the work we put in this past week. And, you know, in a crucial moment in the game, you had guys stepping up and making plays, offensively, defensively. That's how you win big-time games. You know, it doesn't really matter how you start, but it's about how you finish.
The first half is probably the longest stretch that you guys have had struggles offensively.
Why do you think that was? Was it more what they were doing to you guys, or was it more that you guys self-inflicted?
Yeah, I think it's very consistent in the self-inflicted wounds. I think again when we go out there and control the things we can control, we stay ahead of the sticks. We're efficient in what we're doing. We know what we're doing. It's pretty hard to defend, and we know that. And we just want to have some consistency in that. I know I have to watch the film to kind of break some things down, but I know. You get a first down and everything, kind of is flowing well or whatever once you get that first down. And, you had all those penalties we had all those penalties on one of those drives and we still almost got the first down. That is crazy thinking about that, So what I take away from that is eliminate the self-inflicted wounds and let's see if we can play our best football. I don't think we've scratched the surface of that. I don't think we've been able to do that. And I think that's something that we're working towards, and we're just trying to make this thing go, trying to be efficient, and that's an ongoing process.
Okay, thanks, John. Thanks, guys.
From QB1 to the new guy, Linval Joseph speaks with the media in the locker room.
I feel like I'm playing more freely now because I know what my job is. My job is to go out there and not to sit back and be a force in the middle. They're not asking me to do too much right now, and I'm just going to take this role and I'm going to be the best at it.
We're going to keep rolling with the new guys. Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph had a big game today. Fran, what is your Rico review?
Yeah, well, for the Rico review today, I want to take a look at Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Those guys tag team and get a sack of Matt Ryan, and that is this week's Rico review. It happened here in the second half, and what I love about this play, Ella, is that it really was a combination of what both of these guys bring to the table. And you can see that the Eagles right now are in their 5-man front. They've got 5 guys down on the line of scrimmage. You see that number 72, Linval Joseph, he is head up on the center, and directly to his left is Ndamukong Suh, lined up at Fletcher Cox's typical left defensive tackle spot. Both of these defensive ends here on this play, the 2 guys off the edge, they're going to drop out, and you are going to see a safety blitz here from number 23, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We're going to let this play for a second and let it all play out, because on this blitz, what you're going to see is that Ndamukong Suh, he's going to rush up the field, and he's going to get the edge rush here, and that's what I love about what he brings to the table. He is both big and powerful, but also really athletic. Even at this age, he's got that ability to turn the corner. So you've got that rare height, weight, speed combination from Ndamukong Suh in this play, but I want you to also watch number 72, Linval Joseph. He does a great job of pushing the pocket here, and he's going to get right into the face of Matt Ryan. And both of these guys are going to combine for the sack. And this is a complementary rush where you've got a skill set of a defensive tackle pushing the pocket and then an athletic rusher coming off the edge. We can let this run, and you can see that the rush just squeezes and constricts onto the quarterback, Matt Ryan. So I just love this play. Yeah, were there more impactful plays in this game? Certainly could have broken down the game-winning touchdown from Jalen Hurts. There were a couple other plays that we could have dove into, but for me, just seeing these 2 guys tag team here for the sack early in the second half, I thought this one was too fun to break down.
All right, well, now is your chance to vote for the Toyota Player of the Week. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Toyota Player of the Week to cast your vote and get a chance at a brand new Toyota. All right, our 3 nominees. Let's see what we got, fellas. We're starting with the linebackers. Ike.
Okay.
TJ Edwards, he is up for a nomination, 10 total tackles today. Next up, Jalen Hurts, team on his back when it mattered most. And lastly, the new guy, Linval Joseph. We just talked about him. There he is, making a big impact in game 1. Ike, what are you going to do?
Tough one.
Not really. Great job by the defense as a unit.
Oh,
Great job by the defense as a unit. They did it. They kept us in the game, but they let Superman put that cape on. He put the cape on in the fourth quarter. Did you see those numbers? That's 190 yards passing, 86 yards rushing, 16 carries. Man, Jalen Hurts got to go with the quarterback on this one.
All your linebackers are looking at you like...
You're going to get texts in all caps from some of your former teammates, some other linebackers that have played here. You're going to get texts. I know it.
I know, but
the fumble recovery?
Yeah, nice job. All I know is that when we needed it, quarterback came through.
Ike's got deep fried turkey on the brain. That's
the problem. That's it.
Something tells me y'all wanted me to take TJ Edwards today.
I was going to go with Jalen Hurts regardless. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to get so for me, I will say that Jalen Hurts. But that said, I'm just a little shocked.
Surprised, yeah. And TJ's my favorite defensive player.
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I'm just a little disappointed. That's all.
You've been a very offense-heavy guy with your.
You have.
I have. Well, you know, at heart, I am an offensive guy.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow, man, we got to clip that out. Let's just clip that out and just send it to like the next alumni newsletter and send it to every former Eagles player.
All your Eagles legends.
As long as you don't send that to John Harbaugh, I'm okay. Don't send it to him. Don't send it to him.
All right, Jameson Nightcap. Should we move on, guys? If you liked the 1 o'clock start today, well, we're back to prime time.
Yes.
Going to Sunday night football, the Packers are coming to town. Now, they have a little bit of an extended time to prepare for the Eagles. They got to sit back and watch today because they played Thursday night football. They lost to the Titans 27-17. As we said, this offense has struggled quite a bit this season, but Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback at the end of the day, and they're going to want this win. They need to win.
Yeah. You know what? What they're playing right now as if they're halfway in and halfway out. So if you don't give them any confidence, you don't allow them to hang around in this game Sunday night, this is the game I believe we should come out victorious in. Aaron Rodgers is still great. We know he's one of the greatest to ever play the game, but he doesn't have a lot around him in the wide receiving category. And I'm not so sure if he trusts those guys to do the right things on every down. And when that's an issue, the quarterback is unsure of what he wants to do with the football. So we can't let him get into a rhythm.
To me, this run game is the driving force with this offense. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, they like to soften you up with a lot of those perimeter plays to Aaron Jones and then hit you between the tackles with A.J. Dillon. I think Jones is one of the best running backs in football. I would say a top 5 runner in today's league, especially when you consider what he can do as a pass catcher. So that's what they bring offensively. Defensively, this is a group that can force some big plays as well. They're just dealing with injuries right now. They lost Rashawn Gary, injured reserve. Eric Stokes, star corner, former first-round pick, injured reserve. Linebacker Devondre Campbell, who was so good for them a year ago, he's been out. So they're dealing with some injuries on defense, but offensively, Aaron Jones, that run game is the real deal.
So it's a big opportunity on the table for the Eagles. They can't get into a situation today where they're shooting themselves in the foot.
No.
Yeah, and it's a game that, we don't do a lot of scoreboard watching, but Minnesota's right there on your heels. And depending on what happens with their game today against Dallas, we're still fighting for that number 1 seed. So you got to be able to take care of business at home. That's why this win today was so huge, because it was a road win, whereas, you can't always count the road wins. But when you're at home, those are the ones you're supposed to count. Next Sunday night, we got to take care of business.
And you also just don't want that to be a tight game late with Green Bay
Yes.
having the football, because regardless of some of the inconsistencies that they've had throwing the football, that's still Aaron Rodgers. And you don't want to leave the ball in his hands for him to have a chance to go win the game late.
Well, before we go, we do have one more Ask Ike question. Let's see what it is. Can we get another Ric Flair woo to end the show for the win? What do you got?
Woo! They didn't want a victory?
No, I mean,
Just the woo? Okay.
We got plenty of turkey talk. We got that in, so
we got it in.
We're excited.
You're handing out victories left and right. You gotta store them a little bit. You gotta kind of.
Well, and you know what? I lost wind there. Yeah, I lost wind.
It's all right. It's been a long show.
Yeah.
That's all right. We have a little extra time. We don't play again until Sunday night, so you have a little time to recover.
Build
the
it
voice.
back up.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as always, all of us here at Eagles Entertainment will have you covered all throughout the week as we get you set for Sunday night football against the Packers. A win's a win, guys.
That's
the
right.
Eagles are 9-1, and we're gonna keep rolling. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Birds.